Hey guys, I'm Jessica Mulder, and this is the Hard Way Pod, the podcast about learning from your mistakes. I've got Bianca Cristovao in the quarantine pod today. Hey, Bianca.
Hi, Jessica.
I hope you guys remember that Bianca was on episode 3, so she's a rerun, but not, because we're not doing the same story. And she talked about not shitting where you eat. So if you haven't seen that episode, check it out. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
You know what? That's a very simple question. And yet it's so complex. I think I'm doing all right, considering what's happening in the world and
Totally.
And how our life changed in the last couple of weeks, and they will continue changing in the future. But I'm staying positive.
Yeah. Well, we have to.
Yeah, you do. Do we have a choice?
No, we have to stay positive because there's people in Huntington Beach not wearing masks and crowding together being like, live free or die. So we're probably going to die because of these people. So that's great.
Also, I don't know if, obviously I know, Jessica, you're not, but if you're one of those people who are truly struggling during this time, that lost their job and, they don't know how to pay rent, those are real issues. And thankfully, neither of us has to deal with it, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, for sure. We're very lucky in this process. So we were talking a little bit about, and we don't know what we're going to name the episode because forget it, but we're talking about living abroad and
because right now is a time when we cannot really travel.
Yeah.
So it brings memories.
Remember when we could go on planes?
Remember when I thought I'm going to spend the entire summer in Spain, just like last summer? And now I'm like, oopsie.
Is that what you were planning on doing?
Yeah, I was planning to going to Spain and spend about a month with my family and then going to England and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm going home after this.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's so many people's travel plans. My friend actually had, she had planned a trip to Italy the first week in May, and it was a cruise.
Holy moly. Oh, wow.
It was a cruise trip out of Italy.
I mean, to be honest, that doesn't sound good anyway to me, to go on a cruise to Italy. Just shoot me.
But what a double whammy of no, you're not allowed to do that at all.
But, I think cruise ships shouldn't be allowed in general.
Yeah,
but
you're not a cruise. Have you ever been on a cruise?
I have never been on a cruise.
Well, you can't hate it.
Yes, I can. The same way I can hate heroin or...
That's true. I would say don't knock it till you tried it, except for heroin and cruises. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have to try heroin because my Uncle Keith did heroin.
And his name is Keith?
His name is Keith.
I love the name Keith.
No, I'll show you.
Bad Boys.
I'll show you. Yeah, he's bad.
Bad Boys.
He's bad for sure.
Yeah.
I'll show you
I know a few
picture
Keiths,
of him.
and they're all a lot of fun.
Name your kid Keith after you see a picture.
I would never name my kid Keith because, that seems like a lot of work.
Yeah. Keith is going to be a lot of problems.
The name defines who you're going to be. So,
yeah.
I don't need a musician in a family.
Yeah. Or a heroin addict.
Yeah. Those two the same, potato, potato.
Potato, yeah. So, yeah, no, I went on a cruise when I was 14. It was the only one I ever went on, and I thought it was a blast. But that's because I was 14.
Yes, exactly.
And it was right before I turned into a huge teenage asshole. It was when I was
Did you fall in love on
appreciative.
The cruise?
No, but I did and when I think back to it, I'm like, this is so lame. It was they had the kids club, so you'd go to the club, and it was
right.
No alcohol. It was
right.
drinks that looked like alcoholic drinks, but they were for children. Mm-hmm. So I was floating on cloud 9 as a 14-year-old.
Yeah, when I was 14, I dated a guy who was 20. And anyhow, what?
Oh my God! Put this man in jail.
He is in a mental institution now. That's what happens to men who date me.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm loving it.
McDonald's is going to sue us. Oh my God. Okay, wait.
So we're talking about traveling.
Well, I kind of want to know a little bit more about the fact that you were 14 and dating the 20-year-old.
No, that was not the topic.
Okay.
No.
Did you? Okay, just one question then.
Okay, go.
Did you look older than your
Yes.
age? Okay.
Yes, I always did until I turned 21, and then I just looked
the same
ever since. Yeah.
Well, what a lucky bitch.
Yes.
So but that's good. At least it wasn't.
And
just
I would always
straight
lie
up
to men
pedophile.
about my age. I would always make myself older.
Oh, so he thought you were older.
No, he did not. He particularly did not. But he didn't want to date me. Let me put it this way. I forced him.
Yeah. To be fair, you're very wise beyond your years, so I could see that if you already developed early and looked older.
Yeah.
Suspend the disbelief.
It was a lot of drama. My mom definitely didn't like it you know.
I can't believe you even were allowed to like leave the house.
Well, okay, so guys, for you who don't know, I'm from the Czech Republic, that is in Europe, and our legal age is actually 15. So
that's
I
not
was
bad.
almost 15, so it wasn't that big of a
So
deal.
you were like 17 if you were in the US.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
All
it doesn't make it right, but it makes it legal.
Damn. Okay. I mean, I had sex when I was 14.
I didn't have sex when I was 14. He waited.
I had sex when I was 14.
Well, see, that's you.
I know.
I cannot relate to that.
And it was too soon. Okay.
in it alone.
I know. It was too soon, but it was like one time, and then I didn't have sex again until I was like 16 or 17.
Because it was traumatic?
No, because I think I wasn't ready for it anyway.
Right.
And then it was traumatic because the guy that I had sex with that I lost my virginity to cheated on me with a stripper.
At the age of 14.
Yeah, she was 18. He was 15.
Mm.
Gross for her. And like,
I would like to meet her. That's interesting.
I did meet her.
By the way, I have never ever had sex with a teenager. Yeah.
Oh, well,
If you want to submit, my Instagram is Bianca.Cristovao. It's never too late.
It's not Bianca.Cristovao. It's Bianca Cristovao.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, hello.
Don't quote either of us.
Hello.
No, yeah. I did meet her. She like called me one night and pretended I told this story on one of the podcasts. She told me that she was his mom and he was going to rehab and you're his girlfriend.
Did you believe it?
Yeah, well, because he was a fuck up.
And because she was 18 and she had a very deep voice?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. But like also then she was like, just kidding. I'm his girlfriend. You're the, and so then.
Where was she stripping?
I have no idea. I didn't get that far into it.
So wait, so she was a stripper. So obviously she was making a lot of money, right?
I guess. But
why is she trying to hook up with a 15-year-old?
I have no idea. But he was like, I mean, maybe it's just Florida, but he was like the hot boy that was like, he had a very strong jawline.
Oh, that's good. That's always good.
And he was really cute, but he had braces.
Oh,
so it's even weirder.
Very bizarre.
Yeah. And
Was she hot?
No, she was a butterface. And not to use that term because I'm sure that it's not. I'm sure it's
not politically correct.
It's not politically correct and it's not feminist.
But we can all imagine what it was, which is good. It's very accurate, but very wrong.
What it was is like she had a woman's body and I had a child's body. So I was like, oh, I get it.
You were a child.
Yeah. Yes. So I was like, oh, I get
That
it.
makes sense.
I get why he wanted that,
But he was like, did he? I don't understand. So did he fall in love with her? Or it was because I mean he's 15, okay, you guys, like we're not talking about a guy who's like 30 and he has his girlfriend and then he he cheats on her with someone but he still loves no, this is a 15-year-old boy, so you have to get in the head of a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Why was he cheating on you? Like if I'm 15 and I have a girlfriend who has a man's body, a boy's body, and there's an 18-year-old stripper, like obviously I'm gonna fall in love with an 18-year-old stripper.
He had a six-pack. He had like he was ripped.
So I would leave you and I would start dating this stripper if I was 15.
Exactly.
And he didn't do it.
No, he didn't.
Oh wow,
well,
he was way beyond his years.
I know, right? He's getting his cake and eating it too. No, he said he loved me.
Wow, I wonder how many families he has now.
He's dead now.
And next topic.
Zing.
Zing.
Yeah, that's what you get. To quote Polly Wally from her episode.
Holy shit. Okay.
No, I think just because she was allowed to sleep over and I wasn't because I was 14.
Okay.
That's my theory.
But anyway, he loved you.
He said he loved me, but
he was, they never lie. Come on. Just
if
we learn something, men always say the truth.
We might have been on ecstasy when he said it, but
you were taking drugs at the age of 14.
I'm from Florida.
Oh,
we start taking drugs immediately.
That's insane.
I know.
I haven't even seen any drugs until I was like in my mid-20s.
I saw most of the drugs before I turned 18.
Holy, okay. It's like that.
And then I actually slowed down.
It's like that show Euphoria.
Yes, exactly. But with less glitter. Okay, off to the real topic. So, Bianca, do you want to tell me about your living abroad stuff?
Yeah, I mean, for me, living abroad,
or moving. You were going to talk about moving here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I lived in a couple of countries in my life. I've always I'm kind of like a gypsy. I always love traveling. I mean, here I stayed for most of my adulthood. Mm-hmm. And I never imagined in my life that I would stay this long. Do I still think that this is the place I'm going to be forever? No. I'm always always on the move, kind of a person who always thinks about the next thing.
Not in the U.S. forever or not in California forever?
In the U.S.
Where would you go, you think?
I always thought I would go to Madrid. Or
I
always thought I would go to Madrid. Or I always thought like Berlin is such a cool place to live. Yeah, just somewhere in Europe probably.
Yeah.
So I'm closer to my family. Well, that's bullshit. I don't care. But it just sounds good. It's
Earmuffs, Bianca's family. Earmuffs.
Family.
Yeah.
I just like I miss Europe in many ways. That's where I'm from. But I don't think much about things. I just do what I feel. You know. So now I feel like here's the place to be. And I guess when I was 19, I thought the place to be was America.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, I moved here when I was 19 years old. I was a smart ass. I thought I knew everything about everything, and I lived in by that time I lived in Berlin actually already. I would go to London all the time because I have family there. I lived in Denmark. And I was like, yeah, I'm tired of Europe. I've seen it all. What else?
I've seen it all. You can't even see all of New York living there for 10 years.
Seriously, like what a dumbass. And it was, I remember I was living in Berlin at that time. And it was like the coldest winter we had. And I was like, oh, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. And then I was like, I need to go somewhere where there's warm. And then I applied to USC for a writing program. And I got accepted. And then I don't even know how, but I got some money and I got the papers and I got on a plane. And my mom was like, what?
Some people haven't even left the country ever. Their particular country, whoever they are. Some people have never been on a plane and you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to fucking...
California.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, and so I got on a plane and I really didn't think. I don't think. Okay, to be honest, Jessica, I don't think much about things. Like I say, I do what I feel, and I deal with the consequences.
Yeah, that's my big problem too. Yeah. I'm like,
that's how you live life. That's what life is. Yeah. I don't think you should be thinking too much because you never know what's gonna happen. See?
Yeah. See? Points to the entire world right now.
I'm pointing everywhere.
Yeah.
So I get here. I get to California. I have never been to California. I've never been to LA. And I am trying to get to USC from LAX. And it's Sunday evening. So then I kind of, realized that they will not have me on Sunday evening, the dorms at USC. So I was like, oh, they are closed. Like, where I'm going to spend the night, So then
And nobody here either?
No one.
Oh my God.
I don't know anyone in America.
Oh my God. You don't know anybody across
nowhere
in the building in the land.
I don't know anything.
Everybody is across the ocean. That's so scary. How old were you?
19.
Yeah. I'm
about
terrified.
to turn 20. So it was a little terrifying when I realized I have nowhere to sleep. I'm not gonna lie. That moment was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I got on internet and I found some hostel. And then I was like waiting for some shuttle that was supposed to get me to the hostel. And I'm waiting and it's just not coming. And then finally, this really that wasn't a shuttle. That was just like a car, it was just like a truck that was driven by this big black lady. And she was like, is this shuttle to this hostel? And I'm like, oh, I'm going. She's like, honey, get in. And I'm like, okay.
I love her already.
I know. She was the best. And then I get in, and then we get to the hostel, which is like right by LAX. And I get to the receptionist, and I'm like, okay, so I'm Bianca. I just reserved it. And she's like, oh, I don't see it. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't see it? Like, yeah, I don't see the reservation. I'm like, well, I just did it. Like, it's there. And she's like, I'm sorry, I don't see it. So whatever, go. And I'm like, where am I supposed to go? And she goes, I will never forget. She's like, well, it's 9 p.m. and we are in some fucked up neighborhoods. If I were you, I would not go out, but you cannot stay here. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, this is not good. This is not
That is
good.
no bueno.
Yeah. But thankfully they had like computers in the hostel, so I used one. And I found the reservation and I gave it to her. And she was such a bitch to me, to be honest.
Sounds like it. She's like, you'll die if you go out there,
exactly.
but you have to.
Get the fuck out.
What a bitch.
And then when I saw her the reservation, she looked at it. And I will, again, another thing I'll never forget. She looks at it and she goes, oh, you're Bianca? My daughter's name is Bianca. And then she turned 180 and was like the sweetest person.
Wow. Did you like hate your name that moment?
I was actually happy she was nice. I just needed someone to be nice to me.
Yeah.
And then, so it was like a hostel where I was sharing a room with like 10 girls from Germany. And they were like, if I were you, I would put your stuff under your pillow Now I have stuff for like months to stay in here. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
Princess and the Pea.
yeah,
with
apparently
the
they like
luggage.
steal. So I'm like, what a night, what a night. But yeah, the next day I made it to USC, which is a ghetto too.
Did you feel that? Because like I had never been to LA when I moved to LA. I just like I'd been to San Francisco and I was like, oh, it's the same, not the same. And it's like it was such a trash heap. I remember driving in and being like, what the fuck is this shit? This is not what we're sold on the TV. Like, holy shit.
No, it was wild. Like like our dorm, it wasn't a dorm, it was really apartment buildings by USC, which were okay. There's a lot of basketball players living there, which is kind of fun, I suppose. And we had a pool, which I thought was great.
Oh, yeah.
Looking back, very trashy pool. Yeah. It was a pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else was kind of scary. And I remember they had these. I mean, I'm sure they still do these like patrols. You could call them. Like they would drive you if you were like out at night. They would like pick you up, and they would like drive you to your dorm or whatever.
Oh, the cops would?
It was like their USC kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was definitely an experience. If you ask me like why, it wasn't like amazing. I have no idea why I wanted to stay in this country. Like I definitely had better experience in Denmark or Berlin or anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I was just like, well, I'm doing this, so I'm doing this, committed.
Yeah.
know?
So, well, was there anything like, despite your terrible welcome that you got, and the fact that like, you were like, I've had way better experiences at other places, because it's really stressful when you first move here, especially when you're alone and you don't know anybody. Like, what like made you think? Like, was there a shining moment that was like, oh, this is why I'm here?
Well, maybe the school alone. I think USC, and especially the film department, is so incredible, and they put so much money in it. And it was just like very recently after they did, so everything looked really beautiful, and like you could smell Spielberg from the building. And so that was amazing. Like the school alone was awesome. But like when I knew I'm gonna stay, I knew I cannot afford the school, because they don't give support to international students. So I had to go to a different school.
Where'd you go?
I went to Columbia College Hollywood.
Oh.
Yeah, there's one in Chicago, and to study screenwriting. But yeah, so I think it was more internal, like just like gut feeling when you need to do something and you don't really. There's no reasonable.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Yeah, because you're like you said, you do what you feel, and if you're like, this
yeah.
is like an intuitive guidance that you're
exactly.
like,
It was like it was so profound that I just knew I had to stay, and so I did, and I was struggling a lot. I remember there were times when I was hungry because my family wasn't really supportive, because they were like, yeah, you can study for free in Europe. Like, we're not giving you money
Oh my
to
God.
waste. So I remember, I will never forget, like I was truly hungry, and I would go to like vending machine to get like some kind of like Twix or
and that's your fucking dinner?
and that was my lunch.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
It was tough.
That's tough.
Uh-huh.
I still like, as bad as it is, like if people don't have hard stories like that, I'm like, I'm not interested.
Yeah, and I had one of my first roommate and best friend was Ariel. Hola. And she was a girl who was amazing, huge heart, and she was on food stamps too.
Oh wow.
Oh, I said too, like I didn't get food stamps, but we would share her food. Like she would share with me her fucking food stamps.
Oh, that's
Imagine, yeah,
crazy.
this is how we lived the first year.
That's nuts.
Uh-huh.
And so wait, did you have to go into debt for that too? Like you took out loans to go there, or?
I think eventually, like I started like hitting up my family members, and they, started pitting me.
You could go for free.
Took
Don't
pity
go
on me.
over there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got some scholarships actually as I was enrolled.
Oh, that's good.
So that was good.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was definitely tough, and culture shock, in many ways, because so many things I didn't know.
Yeah.
I remember, there were these girls like from school who were like very Christian, and they just couldn't understand that I don't believe in God, like their God.
Yeah,
their
yeah.
God. And they would be like, aren't you afraid of hell? And then it would be like conversations every day. Aren't you afraid of hell? I'm like, whoa.
Oh my God.
No, I'm afraid of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's crazy. Yeah. I remember like, that's always like surprising to me when people clink.
Cheers.
Surprising to me when people are are propagating it because they're of the fear
Yes.
behind it versus like the true belief. Because
it's not genuine.
yeah, and I'm kind of like, I feel like God would know, and he'd be like, you're just afraid.
But aren't we in general as human beings motivated by fear?
Yeah.
With everything we do.
But like it's a little scary. Like you said, I'm afraid of you. Like this makes me think of I had this graphic designer that worked for me. It was like he was under me in the company that I worked for, and he was very, very religious, like very Christian, and very nice guy, really great designer. And I talked to him all the time because I managed him, and it was just the two of us in the department, and he couldn't understand how I wasn't religious at all, you know, but it was like a little scary when he said something one day, because like he was so guided by dreams, which was interesting to me because I was like, oh, I don't know where that plays into it. But like he thought God spoke to him in his dreams, and he'd be like, oh, well, I came to this job because I had a dream.
Oh,
that
wow.
that like
So
I was like riding down the street on Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach, Florida, towards this company, and God was telling me to apply here, you know.
That's scary.
Yeah, and then right, I'm like, uh-oh, he's listening too much to his dreams. Like you take what you take information for what you have to change in life, because like your dreams, I think, do say stuff. It's just like things you're holding in do manifest in certain ways. That's why there's so many common global dreams, like teeth falling out and all that shit. I feel like there is something to them, but not in a way where they're like premonitions, you know. So
Yeah, usually people who have those, they kill people.
yeah. Right. So get this. So then he's a murderer. No. So then he like, we have these conversations, and he'd call me like right after hours, and like he'd really try to get into deep topics to where I'd have to talk to like my supervisors to be like, how do I handle somebody talking to me about these sorts of things? Because I don't know what to say when he's like, why do you believe in abortion? God says this or that. And I'm like, I don't believe in abortion. I believe in like a woman's right to choose what to do with her body, and under that falls abortion, unfortunately, you know. And so I'm pro-choice for sure. And like
She goes, unfortunately.
yeah. Unfortunately, shit happens, you know. But like you know, it's just you can't go by that. And he, you know, he seemed to really like me. So it was never like hateful conversation, but I was like, this is like too personal to be talking about. And my boss would always be like, you know, just try and keep it like, don't get hostile, blah, blah, blah. They'd give me some advice, whatever. But I was just like real creeped out by it half the time, and would try to like stave it off. But here and there I couldn't avoid it. And so that was also like the first person I ever managed. So I was like stuck in that phase of like, I'm being too nice because I want to keep things going in almost like a hindering way, versus like, I'm not your friend, I'm your boss sort of thing, which is what I should have done. I should have been like, this is inappropriate.
Yeah, you shouldn't be talking about religion.
Yeah,
you know, in
right.
a workplace.
But like, he was at least respectful about it. But like, I remember one time he said to me, he goes, he's like, I just don't understand like how you know what to do if you don't have the Bible and the guidelines that tell you. And I'm like, well, because I don't need a book to tell me not to be a piece of shit. Like,
yeah, there's a whole society that's been here before us for thousands of years.
Right.
That, you know, I follow those rules.
Yeah, I'm just
basically, here's the deal. We all follow some rules, right? So he follows the Bible. We follow the society. None of us are necessarily right or wrong. I mean, we are right, but
yeah.
like,
no.
But it's also like there's also a lot of laws in society that are wrong, and we're aware of it, and we try to fight it through, you know, policy and government and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, those people, but at the same time, aren't you a little bit jealous that they have they're
blind faith? Yes.
Yeah, they're so certain.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, because like if you are like us, and I come from a country which is, as a matter of fact, the most atheist country in the world.
Oh, wow.
So until I was 15, this is a true story, I didn't know that like religion was a thing. I thought it was like something that belonged to the past, and I didn't know people like in modern age actually believe in this.
Yeah, no.
The same way, you know, people believe in Santa Claus. Like I was like, yeah, no, you don't believe. Like,
yeah. No, that I was the same, because I was never raised with religion, with the exception of like when we did move to Florida, and like my you know, we'd have Easter dinner, we'd have whatever, like my mom would be like, everybody say grace. I just thought it was like a nice thing, but like there was never like going to church, there was never anything. I was never taught about religion until I went to high school. And I was in Catholic high school, which is why I always have that joke that never fucking works, yet I keep saying it, about how like I didn't know that Christmas had anything to do with religion until I was like 13, because I was just like, oh, you know, there's like Santa Claus, and then in Curacao there was Sinterklaas, and I'm like, this is like a weird tradition where like old white guys with beards bring you presents in December, you know. So I never really thought.
Well, I knew it did because in my culture we don't have Santa Claus, we have baby Jesus.
Yeah, baby Jesus.
And baby Jesus brings you gifts.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't know how he does it, but he does it.
No,
you know what I mean? Nobody explains to us like, oh, you know, there's these moose. What is it? Moose.
Moose?
I mean, what brings
reindeer?
Oh, sorry, guys. So
Yeah.
yes, I've been here only for 10 years.
Mooses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no. Okay, so reindeer, right?
Yeah.
So the little baby Jesus doesn't have reindeers.
Yeah.
He's just magic, so he can do it, which is I think is more believable.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Right. Well, Santa Claus had magic, but like that's
Although he is like just a newborn, so I don't know how a newborn knows how to give me like Game Boy, but
yeah,
he knew. So.
You don't have a credit card, baby Jesus, you know. But like, in Curacao we had Sinterklaas, and there was no real like fantasy or science fiction involved in that. It was like a dude on a horse. It came on a boat. Yeah, he'd come on a horse, and he had these dudes with him called Zwarte Piets, which it translates to Black Peters, and they looked like jesters, like kind of like clowns, but they're in blackface. So like growing up, it's pretty racist, and that people are.
We have the same. Okay, so I think in my country we actually have the same holiday, but it comes on December 5th.
Yeah, because it's his birthday.
Yes. It's so we have him too. And then
Sinterklaas kapoentje, gooi wat in mijn schoentje. That's the song they sing.
Okay, in your language, it was different. But those motherfuckers, they come to your house and then they scare your kids.
Yes, they beat you and they put you in a bag.
Yes, yeah. And they put you in a bag.
And they take you to Spain.
And then you have angels too?
No.
So we also have angels that protect you from them.
No.
And the angels give you sweets and they're like, no.
Yeah, so
you have all,
it's like instead of coal, you get beaten and kidnapped.
Teenagers dress up like them, and then that's how they make money on December 5th.
That's so funny.
And the blackface is the thing. Yeah, but I think in my country, the blackface wasn't... It just, culturally, I didn't see it as a blackface because it didn't look...
Yeah, because it looked like a...
Like a dirt.
Yeah. Well, ours, it looked like more like kind of like clown makeup, I feel like.
Well, now that seems like a blackface.
Maybe not,
Ours looked like a dirty animal, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. So I never associated
there was like
that
a face like with like big lips,
Oh,
I think.
well, then yours is racist. Nah, mine wasn't racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
ours was...
Where did they take you in the bag when you were bad?
Like, not very far. There are laws.
Yeah. Well, no, but like, wait, did you ever...
They didn't like put me in a car and
wait,
throw
did
me
you
on the
actually
coast.
get put in the bag ever?
No, because I was a good kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, because like in Curacao, like my dad always told me that they take you to Spain, and I was like, that's weird because
Why
this guy's
Spain? It's
Dutch.
a nice place.
Yeah, but like
I would like to. Can you get
like,
me?
Is he from there? He's Dutch, isn't he?
Get me to Spain.
But yeah, Sinterklaas would come on his boat with all this Zwarte Piets, and they beat you with these swatches, put you in a bag. That's some weird shit. Why didn't we have angels? That's crazy. But anyway, yeah, to that point,
that's crazy. Didn't
get raised with religion, and we would put our shoe out. Outside of our bedroom door, you put your shoe, and then they'd put these things called paper notes in there, like these little ginger snap cookies and like tiny gifts. So nothing really spectacular because Dutch people are cheap, according to my dad. So you don't get like really cool gifts. And you would leave out with Santa Claus, you leave out milk and cookies. You'd leave out carrots and celery for the horse.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if horses eat celery.
Who knows? None of this shit's real, dude.
But that's really cool. But you yourself, you live in Amsterdam yourself.
Yeah. Oh, but wait, before we jump to that, let me just quickly tell you. Oh, wait, I already did tell you that what the kid said, but it just really blew my mind to make the point that I was getting to was that he was so confused about how to exist without it that it was a little frightening to me that if he ever lost touch with it, it would be a bad scene. It made me think like he must have been through something really tough that had to keep him in line in order to be that strict to it. Because if you can't mentally, because like to me, I'm like, I like to treat myself how I want to be treated. I think that you shouldn't hurt people. And I think, that's the bottom line. And so as long as you're not hurting anybody, you should be fine. So I don't require a whole doctrine for that, but if you do, please use it. Like, I'm not saying don't use religion. Like, people have their own ways of dealing with stuff. So, but like the scariness of a person being like, I don't understand how you could possibly exist without this.
Well, I think it's the same. I think maybe you think too much about it. Maybe it's as simple as, as much as you don't understand how you can live like this. He doesn't understand how you can live like
Fine.
this.
That's
like
fair.
Maybe it's just all about nurture.
Bianca's wise as fuck, guys. But yes, I did live in Amsterdam for 6 weeks. And I actually was there during the holidays, or right before. I was there during the 5th.
Did it seem racist now?
No, because actually there was like a lot of they kind of had something in Holland where they made them use like blue or red paint on their face instead of black.
This is like a recent change.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like half the population was mad about it because they were like ruining tradition. The other half was like, come on, let's just
it's just a color.
Why bother being racist?
I thought we didn't see it.
If we I thought, oh, yeah. Right. Now that we know it's racist, let's not be racist, huh? How about that? So, but like people love to hold on to that racism. You know what I mean? But no, like so I moved there.
I mean, it must be truly interesting, like, because also I'm coming from a similar tradition, but I have to say I don't think ours was racist. And this is, but like seeing like
this is from a half black person.
Instead of seeing these little devils, you see like a bunch of Smurfs. That must be It must be interesting for those people, who don't probably see black people ever.
Oh, anyway. And also apparently they're not allowed to beat you and put you in a bag anymore.
Well, that's nice.
I know.
I call that progress.
No more child abuse.
Let's focus on that.
Shit. That's how we keep these kids in line, But that also just goes to show that America is like super sugar coated. It's like, you'll get a bag of coal. And it's like, no, you'll get abused. Physically abused.
Yeah, no, we also get physically abused during Easter in my country.
What?
Yeah. No, this is a real thing. So men, they have the right on Easter Monday, they have the right to smack you with this like long, I don't even know how to describe this. It's basically like a plant that they like braid together, and then they have this like long braid, and then with that they smack the shit out of you. And actually it's like, and you need to let that happen if you want to get married and be healthy. If you don't want to get married and be healthy, then you don't let it happen, and you will never get married. And
the people making these rules.
Yeah, no, man, just want to.
Fucking wrong with these dudes that the founding fathers of religious traditions, holiday traditions.
And then I think like later on, like that's like quite new tradition was to like throw water on those dudes, which is kind because finally we could like stand up for ourselves and do something. Until then we couldn't do stuff, we couldn't do shit.
Did you ever get hit with this stick?
Are you kidding? By my brother, by my grandpa. It's like a thing.
They're like, fuck yeah.
Red butt.
It's ass whooping Monday.
Yeah. No, there's like the one day in a year we can smack the shit out of you. And
so there's just no domestic violence outside of that, though?
Never. Yeah, we don't know what domestic violence is in my country.
Everybody saves it up. How many people die that day? It's so horrible. I can't believe that's a thing. We're going to have to look this up after. I need to know more. That's crazy. Yeah, but so I moved to Holland. I was living in a place called Ardenhout, just outside of Amsterdam, that you'd have to take the train to the city. It was really close, though. And it was like, my dad's Dutch, and I grew up for the listeners who don't know, I was born and raised till I was 9 in Curacao, which is a Dutch Caribbean country off the coast of Venezuela. And so, I have like, I'm part Dutch and I know a little bit of the language, not enough to be completely fluent. But so when I was getting divorced, I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here and be far away. I'm not going to pay for 2 rents. Well, this deadbeat doesn't do anything in LA. So, and I need to put like an ocean between us. So I thought, let me go like travel. I've wanted to go to Europe and travel around, practice Dutch, whatever. So my dad put me in touch with his friend, Andrew, that he grew up with in Curacao. He's about the same age as him, maybe like in his 60s. And he lives in Ardenhout as well. And just so I'd have somebody over there. So I was luckier than you in that I at least had like a person over there. And he found me this studio apartment, which was actually, it was like an artist studio in the back of this rich lady's house. So she had this like big artist studio, and so she kind of like converted it into a little apartment. Basically, she threw a daybed in there and a microwave and like a panini press thing.
Okay.
And so I rented that for 6 weeks, and so I went.
How much was that?
It was $1,200 for 6 weeks.
That's a lot of money.
$1,200 for 6 weeks worth of rent.
When I lived in Berlin, I would pay €280 for a month.
Wow. I
Yeah.
got ripped off.
You got ripped off.
Well, this lady was.
and I know that too because my first apartment was 400 and it was nearly as nice as my second, which was 280.
Oh man, learn more things the hard way than I thought. So no, she was, but like this, that makes sense to me because this lady was loaded, but also like very stingy.
Well, just like your daddy said.
Yeah, just like he said. But she was like so, because it was really cold. It was winter. I remember I went from November 1st to December 15th. So it was cold as shit over there, and I didn't know anything. Like I remembered like foods that I grew up with in Dutch, but like really could say like please and thank you. That was like my scope of language really. Because I just never retained it, never really learned it fluently because of my mom's American, and we just didn't keep it up, and I was a dumbass. And it was like so fucking cold in there, and it was just like she was nice and welcoming to a degree, but like as time went on, it was like clear that I was a burden because she would
with
be
$1,200 for 6 weeks.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was paying her for this place that like she would just not have money for. It's not like she was renting it to other people. This was like her artist studio, and she was like a rich lady that didn't really have to have a job, so it was just like hobby stuff, and it was good. It was cool stuff. It was kind of funky but cool.
How could you be a burden? Like how would?
Well, because she would be like messaging me like, oh, on WhatsApp, like you have to keep the thermostat between, what was it? It was like 21 and 23 Celsius.
Oh, so you could like freeze.
Yeah. That's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold as shit. It was like 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it was already cold as shit, and it was like not supposedly the floor was heated, she claimed, but like it was a concrete floor, and it was a very just cold environment because it was just art in a day, but it wasn't like there was.
You were
like,
there in the winter.
Yeah, and like it was just a really cold. It had huge windows. It was a cool little place, but it was like. It was really fucking cold. Like, and she'd be like nagging me about turning the thermostat up because I was freezing my ass off. And I'm like, I will pay you if your bill goes up. And she was like worried about her electric bill or her heating bill for me using it. And I'm like, why is this bitch nagging me? And she's like, she knows I'm getting divorced and I'm living in a foreign country for 6 weeks alone in this place with like, that's all that I have is like a suitcase.
The first week, like, do you feel like were you feeling isolated?
I was so isolated and I was really depressed. And I was also like, because I was already really depressed from the marriage. And like at that point when I decided to leave, I was so glad I did because it was so important for my mental health and physical health. Because like at that point, everything was so bad that I was getting ocular migraines with auras every single day. I would wake up with them.
You know what's interesting about this whole thing, like with isolation that we're dealing with? If you talk to people who actually lived abroad, I think all of us experience the same thing. If you actually live abroad, no, you just go for vacation with friends. Like if you go by yourself, like, hey, I don't know anyone, I want to try this on my own. You're gonna feel very similar level of isolation that we're feeling right now.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just talk to anyone. You feel guarded. You don't know the language. You don't have any friends.
Yeah, and you're far away, so you're not on the same time zone of anybody that you talk to.
When this whole like quarantine happened, I realized quite early on, I'm like, this doesn't feel that new to me. It's like I felt like this when I was in Berlin.
Yeah,
I felt like this when I was in Denmark.
I definitely felt like this when I was in Holland.
When I came to America first couple of months, I felt like this too. So it's not like a new feeling for me. Yeah,
it's like the difference is now at least you're in the same time zone. You know people near you, but like over there, all I had was Andrew, and Andrew was great though. Like he was such another dad to me because like I didn't have a kitchen or anything, and he'd bring me like hard boiled eggs every week, and
that's very specific.
He'd see that I was he'd see that I was like ordering like shitty pizza and stuff because all I had was like cheese sandwiches and pizza.
Eat some eggs, girl.
Yeah, he'd give me eggs, and he'd like bring me boerenkool met worst, which was like a really great like dish with like sausage and potatoes and kale and whatever.
How's the sex?
Ew. He listens to this, Andrew. I think he listens to it. I think he figured it out.
Nice.
You know those old people. They don't know how to use. They don't know how to use stuff.
Oh, so it wasn't good.
Gross, Bianca. I'm getting like gross pictures in my head. No, but he was really instrumental to my mental health over there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because like honestly, like I was so alone, and I also, luckily, when I left my LA situation with my ex, it was like instantaneous that the migraine stopped. Like, I shit you not, for 6 months.
I swear to God, this is what happens. Like I have a friend in a similar situation, and she's getting divorced. and she's telling me that apparently she has all these like physical problems
Yeah.
every time. Like she's been dealing with these physical problems for years,
Yeah.
and every time she like moves out of the, because they have kids, so they share them 50-50. Every time she like gets out, it all like disappears, and then she gets back in and it all starts. It's like it's a real thing. It's not bullshit.
No,
Yeah.
anxiety, like stress and anxiety will cause physical issues.
Yes.
Because like I had it for
Yes.
about a year.
Yes.
A year I was like really depressed and just like struggling. Like I was like a bag of sand trying to get out of bed, and I was working a lot. And then for 6 months straight was these migraines, and I was taking these crazy pills that never really did anything because you're supposed to catch it before they come, but I'd wake up with them. So I couldn't. And literally the moment I leave, they go away. When I got back, I tried to tell him to leave, to move out before I got back in December, but he didn't. Go figure. And they immediately came back. Like they immediately came back for the last week I was living there. But anyway, like I had a tough time for sure with like the lady complaining about, the temperature, because she's like watching the meter inside. Like she has like a hot son that's too young for me, but I'm like, I'm getting.
What is too young? 15?
Well, he was 23 and I was 32.
I feel like that's ideal.
It was ideal for me, but
this is my new life.
She was not having it, and and we were cool. We like hit it off from the beginning, and I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna
nice.
bang your son, lady."
Just because you're being a bitch.
Because you're being a bitch. Like, don't fuck with me. I will bang your son, and I did.
You did?
I sure did.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Now you're saying he was too young for you. You did it anyway.
No, I'm saying. Well, you said that I was hooking up with my dad's friend. That's not the case.
No, that was a joke. Now I'm being serious.
No.
Now we're talking about 23-year-old, Dutch
right.
stud.
No, and to the point where like when we were hanging out, like because we didn't really hang out. Like he did like take me out one time to like show me and meet his friends, and like just so we could like I could go somewhere with people because I really didn't know anybody, and I was working the whole time because I was working remotely from there. So I was working from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So most days I couldn't really go anywhere, and I was so depressed that I was waking up at 2. So I really only went out to Amsterdam proper on the weekends. But like I remember going out with him one time, and then like he'd like come by because we both smoked cigarettes, and so we'd like smoke a cigarette, and then like a couple times like he came inside and we were just chatting about something, and she'd be like messaging him, "Why are you in there? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Bitch, why are you cock blocking me? Stop!" Like, Jesus.
What do you think he's doing in there?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
And
He's
she's like. And then I remember her having a talk with me about it and being like,
no,
you can't. She's like, you can't hang out with him because
why?
Because he's very sensitive, and you're going through a lot, and you're an older woman, and and you're an
I'm so dead.
Yeah, you're an older woman, and you're just gonna like break his heart. And I'm like, this kid is not a sensitive baby. He can. I'm like, he can handle it.
He's sensitive like the mom. Oh my god, how many boys mom ruined? Honestly, like
yeah.
I used to think it was about like having a guy who has like his family together and I think then when the guy has his like mom there and they're the worst.
No, it's crazy, but it's like also let's talk about he's 23, he's living with his mom still. I don't know. I mean, I guess he was in college though.
Yeah, I mean, I know 30-year-olds who are still at home.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, no, like it was almost like, okay, well, if you're gonna give me shit, I'm sorry, but I'm going through some fucked up times. I gotta bang your son, lady.
You deserve it.
I deserved it.
With her
I needed to clean the slate.
Yeah, some.
I hadn't hooked up with anybody else in 7 years. So.
Oh my god, you deserved it.
I deserved it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was his name?
I don't want to say his name.
Because I just want to hear it because it's gonna be some Dutch thing.
Well, no, it was actually. I don't think it's his real name.
Oh, he didn't even give you a real name?
No, it was like a nickname. His name was Buster.
Now, do you regret it?
Wholeheartedly.
Buster.
It was like
no.
It was because
now he sounds 23.
No, I remember
until this.
You know what? You want to hear the funny part is I'm just remembering why that was his name. It's because apparently he was a gigantic baby, so it was like he was gonna bust out of her stomach, so she called him Buster.
Oh my god, he was a gigantic baby.
Oh my god, he was.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I like
it was fun.
I've never been with a younger guy. Maybe like later in my life, it's gonna when I'm like 40.
Yeah,
I will be dating like 20-year-olds. I can see that.
Sugar mama. No,
I'm gonna still be hot.
Yeah, you're gonna be hot.
Yeah, it's fine
because you've taken that. What's it called? Death becomes her potion. So clearly you're not gonna age anymore. But no, it was fun and it was necessary. And And like it was tough because of her, and then like not really knowing anybody in work. But like I said, Andrew, my dad's friend, was really just like instrumental in my mental health, like just being there for me, checking in on me. Are you okay? You know, I remember like busting down crying one time after he left, like after he dropped food off for me, and just being like, oh my God, like it feels so nice to have somebody like that cares and is paying attention.
Do you think that like because you were going through so much emotional trauma with your divorce, and like now you're like in a different country, different language, isolated from your friends, again, for some people, you know, now going through this quarantine, you know, maybe they just broke up with someone, maybe they, maybe they you know, maybe they had to let go of their spouse because they had to, you know, leave somewhere, whatever happened. Do you think that like being alone in this time, when you were in Netherlands, was it beneficial that you could like sit with yourself and figure it out, or was it like harder because you were alone?
It was absolutely beneficial. It was really tough for sure. Like I did a lot of like videos. I recorded a lot of video diaries while I was there. Lots of them where I was crying. Lots of them where I was just like, you know, I had a lot of panic attacks. Like, because I was having.
Where are these videos?
Oh, I have them on my computer.
You should post them.
I haven't. No. Some of them are really funny too. Like there's a lot of good ones, but like it's funny because if you watch it in the beginning, when I first get there, I'm like really, really depressed.
Could be like a like art installation.
Yeah, well, it's like it starts really bad and then they get better. You know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
right. But that would be amazing.
And I meant to edit them together, but it's so much, and I just never got around to it.
Amazing.
I will make that a project when my carpal tunnel starts healing up. Yeah, but like I really like, it was so depressing, and like it was really tough. Like just. Because I was still having a lot of panic attacks back then. Again, going back to the mental causing physical shit, and I haven't had one of those in like a couple of years. So, but I think it was really important, especially because like when I did get out and like go walk around and like check out the cities, like checking out Harlem and checking out Amsterdam, was I met people. You know, and I did things alone, and I got comfortable doing things alone. Like I'd eat dinner alone, and I would, you know, and I was trying to learn this language, and I was fucking it up royally. Like the first time I tried to go to Amsterdam from Ardenhout on the train, like apparently like our cards are different. Like, so whatever credit card I had wasn't getting read by the slot to buy the ticket. And so I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't have cash. And even if I, you know, and so I was like, oh my God, how am I going to I'm like stranded. I walked to this train station. Am I even going to be able to go? And finally, like, was able to like wrangle enough Dutch to figure out how to do it and get somebody to help me with it. That they were just like, oh, use this card instead, or whatever. Like I had to use like, because you know, it was something with like.
They all speak English though.
They mostly do, but like I was trying in Dutch at first.
Which is nice. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had a Swedish boyfriend when I was 17. And I remember going to Sweden a lot. And I remember sometimes, you know, I wouldn't buy a ticket or whatever because I just didn't bother. And then I would get caught. You know? And they would always speak English. A freaking, you know, like housemaid would speak English. Everyone would speak English. It was so annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
no, when you're trying to
learn. I
just
want to pretend like we don't understand each other. And they're all like fluent English. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, when I was trying to learn, it was tough because like in the beginning, I remember like, so this is why it was good to your question is like, because first of all, like just having those like obstacles of being like, shit, I don't know these systems. I don't know these things. I ended up going the wrong way at one point and having to and be like, this is not the right direction, you know? And just even being comfortable like speaking in another language and sounding like an idiot was really hard for me at first, you know, to not just default and be like, you're going to waste this time. And I remember at first, like when I'd order food was like the opportunities I had most of the time, or when I'm asking where I'm going. And like, people in the beginning, the first couple weeks would just default to English. Like the moment I started talking, because they'd be like, this bitch doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah.
Especially because I was like Google translating a lot of stuff, which I learned from Andrew because he'd like sit with me and force me to speak it. Like we'd hang out and like eat dinner and whatnot. And he'd just like speak in Dutch and be like, this is why that sounds dumb. Because that's not how we'd say that phrase here. Right. You know, so he helped me a lot understand like the dynamics of the language to adjust over the course of a few weeks. So by the time I was about to leave after 6 weeks, like I could get through a full conversation in Dutch without people figuring out that I don't speak Dutch.
Right, which is fun.
Which
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome. And then I was
That's
like,
fun.
shit, I wish I had more time.
And I think it's like one of those things when you're learning a new language is just don't be afraid to sound like a fool. And I think the reason why a lot of Americans don't speak other languages is because they're so afraid of like saying things wrong. And, like I'm learning Spanish, right? And so now I'm like, whatever, my doorman, like the maid.
We should help each other because I speak a little bit of Spanish and I want to be better at it.
Oh, no, great. Like, you should. Yeah, so I don't care. I just don't care. If I say it wrong, I don't care as long as I say it, because that's how I learn all the other languages and,
As long as you get the point across. And that's the whole thing.
Exactly. That's at the end of the day, language is a communication. Let's not make it like a big freaking deal. Like, it's symbols. Mm-hmm. Language is symbols, and this is how we communicate. So as long as you get that, that point across, that's all you need. It doesn't have to be perfect.
But like that's the whole thing is like just being comfortable enough, and also having somebody. It was really important as having somebody that was like willing to be patient and kind of force me to be uncomfortable. Because I remember sometimes like I'd get frustrated because I'd be like, I'm out of like I don't know, I'm out of words, like I don't know how to say this, and I'd in my head kind of like my fear and like comfort zone would want him to like shut the fuck up and speak English, but I was really appreciative when he didn't. And
yeah, no, for sure.
And it wasn't like he only spoke in Dutch to me, but like he definitely did a lot, spoke Dutch to me a lot, and like kind of like just made me think that way. Because it's like when I first got there, the second language that I knew the best of the ones that I know a little bit of was Spanish. So like it was hard for me to even transition out of going to Spanish in my brain when I wanted to be going to Dutch. And so like just to have somebody patient enough to like do it and not be like, I'm annoyed by the fact that you can't speak this was really, really vital too, I think. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun over there eventually, and it was still really, really tough and really lonely.
Do you think if you didn't go, like, what do you think you would miss out on if you didn't go, if you made a different choice?
Oh my God. I don't know what other choice that I had, honestly. Like, because any other choice that I had would have been probably going back home to my mom and my family and just kind of like putting myself in another area where I'm familiar and dealing with just like a different set of problems. Not to say like my family is problems, but like I wouldn't have really had the space to deal with the issue on my own and stand on my own with it if I had like, their support, but like just them, like just
no, for sure. I feel like if you go, like if you, if you're going through something and you go back home, you're getting yourself into a very comfort zone. And I get it. It's the, this.
And maybe they would have convinced me to stay because they missed me.
And it's an impulse, and you go home and you're gonna be safe. But I don't think you're gonna figure out much because you cannot grow from like comfort zone. If you want to actually grow as a human being, I think you have to be uncomfortable. Yeah. Because it's not gonna happen any other way. So people who like run back home, I feel like they are missing on a lot.
Yeah. No, I meant that like I was like there were so many moments where I was uncomfortable and it was like dangerous, like where it's like I'm a young, attractive woman traveling by herself. Like, I have to worry about getting robbed. I have to worry about all sorts of stuff, but I just did it. And I think part of it is just getting through. It was like, holy shit, I could do that. Like so many people said to me, so many people said to me when I did it,
and
they were like, this is crazy.
Even if you fail, at least you tried. You know what I mean? And
but it's like,
I love that you had the guts to do it.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like you had the guts to come here knowing nobody. And, at least I had Andrew over there. But even still, like everybody was like, what do you mean you're just going to the Netherlands, to Holland by yourself for 6 weeks? What the fuck? Who would do that? And I'm like, I'm doing that. Right. And it was like getting past it and like growing from it was so important because like there were many hard times. There were so many tears. There were a lot of panic attacks. Yeah. I was over there during like the fucking 2016 elections, which was like horrible because I was like, no way he's gonna win, and I'm over there with people over there that are like, what, really, Trump? That's hilarious, that'll never happen. So like they were just as like confused as I was, and just thinking like, this was like so different and something that I've never done before, and I think it was really necessary. Also, I met this like kind of tour guide, drug dealer guy, of course, which was awesome.
And they all,
he was this like French guy with dreads that was I met at the weed shop, which I was so afraid of even going into the weed shops at first because I didn't know how to do it, and like some of them were different than others. Like some of them, like I thought they were all coffee shops, and I remember going into a coffee shop and being like, weed, and they were like, no, bitch. This is not.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I looked like a dumbass in all sorts of ways.
Wait, so did you have sex with this guy?
No. No, I only had sex
I just
with the one.
imagine your entire thing
No,
was like a sex
I
trade.
literally only had sex with the kid one time.
Just with a kid.
with that kid one time.
With a child.
It was just out of spite and out of needing to do it.
Yeah.
And just because we did have fun, but like it was just the one time. I didn't hook up with
Okay,
anybody else.
Buster.
I didn't hook up with anybody else over there. But like what was cool
It's not
about
something you should be proud of, by the way.
whatever. That this I was damaged. I was like
No, I'm saying
the fact that I was able to have sex with anybody was pretty great.
Okay.
But I did do drugs with him.
Okay.
It's like I met him at the weed shop sitting outside and he was really cool. And one of the things I really liked about him was that he wasn't like, he didn't make me feel uncomfortable as far as like, I was worried that he was, going to do anything bad to me. And maybe I was naive, but he didn't seem to like be coming on to me ever.
Yeah.
Except for like one time, but we were on Molly. So,
Right.
we
We
it
all
doesn't
do that.
count, everybody. It was in Amsterdam during
No.
divorce,
No.
eat, pray,
And
love.
apparently nothing happened anyway. So.
No, but like no, he like it was the one time he kind of like leaned in and I was like no. He's like, oh, okay. And like we hung out a few times,
Yeah.
like so he was really cool and like he knew his way around, which was awesome. And I remember one time like he introduced me to like a group of friends, like but it was fucked up because I remember like we had like bought some like drugs and I thought I was like, he's trying to scam me at one point. I was like, what if he's trying to scam me? I just had it in the back of my head. Like I didn't think he was.
Oh, the
And
American was there.
I thought that like he was like clinging on like just at one point
Oh.
briefly to like, me.
You just lived in the fucking Taken movie.
Yeah, right. But like I thought that he like pretended to lose it so I would buy more. And I was like, okay, but you have to like PayPal me money later for this that I'm buying because I bought the last one. And then I found it and he did send me the money after I went back to America. Can you believe that this man sent me $30?
Oh, and you didn't know.
I didn't know. It was like really deep in a weird pocket. But like
That is
anyway, I owe
hilarious.
you $30, bro.
Damn.
But isn't that funny? Like it's like everybody was warning me about like people taking advantage, and like this guy was so nice. He showed me around. He didn't.
and
try-
and that's how they.
and we were partying. We were fucking
That's what
partying.
I'm saying, like about making assumptions about people before you meet them. Like, so the problem is that like we all like we have experiences with people or whatever, and then you project all this bullshit on new people, which is so ridiculous.
Right, no,
so you had like this amazing time with this guy. You had no reason not to trust him, and
Yeah.
just because of your fucking fucked up history, you were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna trust you.
No, I was
so
just,
dumb.
and I was still like cool with him. I never accused him of anything, but I was still very much like, you have to, I was never expecting him to send me the money, and
Right,
he did.
yeah.
And like he took me to like his friend's house at this
Right.
really amazing apartment, right,
Yeah.
right on the canals, and like it
Not
was
to
like a
say,
bunch of
if
people
you're like a
drinking
local
wine.
and you bring someone under your wing, that's such a cool thing to do.
It was really he brought
It
yeah.
really is because you don't have to do it. Like, look at us, like how busy we are in LA. If somebody's like, "Hey, can you take care of this person?" I'll probably be like, "No, I have stuff to do." Like,
Yeah.
truly, like so. I always appreciate people who take the time.
No,
and show,
everything that anybody warned me about was completely false. Everybody was
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
The only bad thing I think that happened was like my friend like came to like I ended up having a friend of mine come, coming to visit for just a few days so we could go to Amsterdam in an Airbnb and then go to Paris, and she ended up getting robbed at Sacre Coeur, which is like this big like tourist
robbed,
trap.
like robbed.
Well, she had like this tiny purse and a giant wallet, and I was like, watch your wallet, and she wasn't, and we got hooked up in one of those scams where they're like, let me take a photo of you, and they
Oh, nice.
pickpocketed her.
Okay. So it wasn't like traumatic. It
No, well, we both yelled at the pickpocket guy,
was- okay. Okay.
but they have a system. They got away
They
with
do.
it.
They
But like
already
that's
know.
like the only bad thing that really happened over there. So, yeah, guys,
Nice.
take this time to grow is really what
Yes.
we're learning.
I think so.
I think that's it. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Embrace this.
I needed that, and I
situation.
think you needed that. Like, cause like
Yes.
I was proven to myself somebody who felt really weak and really broken for a long time. That I was way stronger than I thought, and that was really important.
Isn't that great when you find out that
Yeah.
you're way better than you thought?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap
Okay,
it
thank
up.
you so much for having
Because
me.
we both have to pee. Thanks
Yeah,
for
we do have to
coming.
be. Yes.
What
what a pleasure.
Yes, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
Hey.
Later.